Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're going to review the movie Justice League. Hey everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. I'm your host, Brent, and today we're going to review the movie Justice League. I saw it last night on Tuesday, and I've got my real reactions right here for you guys. I'm messing around with my little Steppenwolf Funko Pop. He's much cooler as a Funko Pop than he is in the movie, so we'll throw him away just like the Justice League did. He's kind of a throwaway villain as far as DC villains go. Nobody really cared about him to start with. I don't really know why we started with him, but overall, first impressions of Justice League. I went in with lowered expectations after the debacle that was Batman v Superman. There I went in with high expectations. I went midnight, or no, it's not midnight, 7 o'clock on Thursday or 8 o'clock, whatever it was, the day before it opened officially, like they do all the previews and stuff. So, you know, you can hear about that elsewhere on the channel or other podcasts I've done on the Comic Timing podcast. But Justice League, so I went in with lowered expectations, and I came out fairly amused. I called it on Facebook an enjoyable start. A start to what? That will remain to be seen, but it was an enjoyable start nonetheless to me. You know, by the end of the movie, before the first after credit scene rolled, I was smiling. I liked that little bit, as cheesy as it was at the very end about Hope that Lois Lane was writing, as we kind of visited all of our Justice League members, you know, around the globe and what they were up to after being a part of or starting the Justice League and things like that. So, you know, there's been a lot of bashing on this franchise, I guess. Is it a franchise if they're all individual movies? Let's call it the DCEU as a franchise itself, right? People will say, oh, no, we're judging it on its own merits, and we're not DC bashing, we're not, you know, Marvel fans first and then DCEU fans, but I really do think there's a lot of competition and dick measuring and just antagonism towards the DCEU in general. I don't know what it was that left people with a bad taste in their mouth. Some people will point to Man of Steel's ending. We know when Superman saw its neck, and then other people will point to Batman v Superman. Some will point to Suicide Squad. I thought Suicide Squad was okay. I haven't rewatched it since. I have rewatched Batman v Superman twice, maybe. So I'm kind of speechless on where all the animosity comes from for this movie, and a lot of it is directed at Zack Snyder specifically. And you know, poor Ben Affleck can't even get the fucking movie out before people start talking about the next Batman movie, much less who's going to be Batman in the next Batman movie. I saw over the weekend rumors that they were seeking Jake Gyllenhaal to replace Ben Affleck as Batman, or if Ben Affleck walks away, this is the guy they're going to go to. And he's younger, and he's good for 10 years, and blah, blah, blah. Poor guy can't get a movie out past the opening weekend, or even the second weekend before they talk about replacing him. And, you know, as you may remember, this was talked about over the summer, or even, maybe it was in the beginning of the year. He was promoting Live by Night and stuff like that, and they were asking him about Batman v Superman, or, you know, other things having to do with the Justice League. You know, he had to come out in Comic-Con and make this big speech about how Batman is a dream role and he's never going to walk away, or he didn't say he's never going to walk away. He said, I'm here to stay. Well, I'm here to stay till when? I guess was everybody else's follow-up question. So, poor guy can't catch a break. As far as his performance in Justice League, he's not the best, he's not the greatest, he's not the worst. It's workmanlike. He turns in a performance, and it does the job that it's meant to do. I think a lot of it has to do with how he's written. As an actor, he's definitely an older Bruce Wayne. He shows that. He walks that way, but I've never seen Bruce Wayne wear so many suits than in these Justice League movies. It's kind of astonishing. Like, you know, he changes out of the bat suit and puts on a regular suit. It's like a little bit of a misunderstanding of like who Batman is. Like, he's Batman first. He's not Bruce Wayne. He's Batman. So if he's going to take the bat suit off, he's probably just going to put a t-shirt on or a sweater, whatever's going to keep him warm. He's not going to dress in a three-piece suit. He's meeting with the Justice League in the Batcave in a three-piece suit, or, you know, talking to Wonder Woman, drinking drinks and stuff. I was like, what? Where did this come from? Why did you take so much time to put on that suit? That's an expensive suit. That takes a lot of time to put on. But anyway, we can nitpick the heck out of this thing. Let's go back in general. The story, we've kind of known hints and pieces about the story for a while. If you follow that type of thing, it has to do with mother boxes in the fourth world. Steppenwolf comes down looking for these mother boxes. You join these 3 mother boxes together. They create something called the Unity. It's the world destroyer engine or something like that. Not really explained. We're not really supposed to care. We're just supposed to prevent it from happening. And that's the plot of the movie. And we need a team to do that because this guy's bigger and stronger than Superman, and Superman's not here anymore because thanks to Batman, he got killed. I will blame Batman for that, for sure. And Batman in this film does bear the brunt of that blame, for sure. So we talked about Batman's performance in here. I like the Flash in this movie. A lot of people do like him, some don't. I mean, it's very... Not only are the reviews mixed on this film, but the people's reactions to these new characters, Aquaman, Flash, Cyborg, is mixed as well. Me, I like Flash. Is it because he's the Flash of the comics? No. Flash reminded me a lot of my brother. If you know anything about my brother, he is just like Barry Allen, basically. So I was like, yep, that's my brother Eric right there. And I was laughing my ass off because, you know, I lived with the guy for many, many years before he grew up and moved out. Cyborg, I thought, was very interesting. He's always been a bit of a bland character to me, and you know, whenever you do explore the tried and true Frankenstein formula, I don't feel like I've ever read any storyline in the comic books that made me really go, you know, stand up and take notice of that character. Now, when you turn it into live action, I feel like it comes across better because it's more than just a written word. And in saying that, the guy playing Cyborg, Ray Fisher, I think this is his first on-screen role, does a very good job about actually making Cyborg relatable. Even though he's more machine than man, he still has a human side to him and shows that in his performance. And he's concerned about becoming more machine than man. And I thought that particular angle was very cool. Aquaman, I thought, was going to be the hit of the movie. It turns out that, like some other things, most of his jokes and stuff were already shown in the preview, so it fell a little flatter than it would had I gone in absolutely seeing nothing of Aquaman. But I do think in the future, hopefully they can turn him into... I mean, I don't want to compare it to Avengers, but I guess they're probably trying to turn him into a Thor-like character, the way Thor's become like a humorous person of the group. I can totally see that with Aquaman. There is a great moment with Aquaman, though, that is not in the previews. With they're traveling to the final battle, and basically it has to do with Aquaman and Wonder Woman's lasso. And I will just say that. That's a great moment there. I'm trying not to spoil anything. I always try to do that with these movie reviews. Sometimes I mess it up, sometimes I don't, so apologies if you haven't seen it yet. And I do end up spoiling something. I'm trying to refrain from it. But as always, that's kind of the ground you tread when you watch these things or read these things. So yeah, Aquaman's pretty cool. They do go down to Atlantis, and it's kind of bland as far as that goes. It's just one area where they're, you know, protecting this mother box, and you can't see very much because it's very muddled water. It's, you know, dark and gloomy and things like that. Mera has this thing where she pushes the water away to talk to him. So apparently in this DC universe, Mera is like the regent of Atlantis or something like that. You know, his mom was the queen. That's still, you know, canon. She had, you know, relations with a human, left him upstairs, or not upstairs, in the surface world to grow up and be raised. So Aquaman doesn't have, at this point, any relationship to Atlantis. What's strange is, though, he goes down there as a shirtless Aquaman, says, I'm going to need something from you if I'm going to go get that mother box back. He says this to Mera, and then comes back with this grand armor and a trident that seems to be nigh indestructible. We know nothing about that, but maybe that is better left to the Aquaman movie to explain. So looking forward to that. I think James Wan's a very good director. I watched The Conjuring 2 recently. Very good film. So I'm hoping he can take these lesser-known actors and bring their performances up to a caliber above where other people expect them to be. People don't expect big things out of Jason Momoa. They don't expect things out of who's playing Mara? Amber Heard. So I'm hoping James Wan can take them and elevate them to a level where they're more respected, and when we get a good movie out of it, most importantly. So talk about Flash. So yeah, with the villain, we talked about Steppenwolf very briefly. He's really no more, shouldn't mention more than that. I mean, he doesn't really have any motivation other than revenge and shame, I guess, but whatever that is, they don't explore that. Anytime Steppenwolf is on screen, he's literally just going after something or trying to destroy something. There's never a conversation. It's just puny humans. He's more like the Hulk in that way, except he is able to speak. You know what I mean? Like, anytime the Hulk appeared in the first couple movies before Thor Ragnarok, it was pure mayhem and destruction. It's the same way with Steppenwolf. I don't really think we're meant to identify with him. We're just supposed to recognize him as a threat. But I saw some complaints about the CGI for Steppenwolf here. It's a CGI character. I think it's going to be hit and miss a lot of the times, depending on the time and budget on what shots are left over. So I think it's kind of a toss-up whether it's good or bad. There are some good close-ups where he looks pretty good, but he's still recognizable as a CG character. I do wish they just picked an actor and put some makeup on him, at least for those close-ups or mid-range shots. Like, you know, this is Warner Brothers movie, and you can call Peter Jackson and, you know, his team and say, hey, how do you make this guy look bigger than he should be, because they want him to be like 8 feet tall or 9 feet tall compared to everybody else, and as such, you know, scale him up and put an actor in makeup. How do you do that? And he, I'm sure, would have said, oh, you know, go to this guy or go to this guy, use this team, etc., etc. And I think if they had done that, we would have gotten a better villain, at least looking visually anyway, than what we got. I thought the design was pretty cool, looked okay. Very similar to Ares, though, in the Wonder Woman movie. I talked about that in that movie review. Yeah, I really think they should just put an actor in makeup and figured it out, because I think a real performance is always going to be better than some digital one if you're mixing digital with reality. And speaking of CG, there's a ton of CG in this movie. A lot of green screens, a lot of backgrounds that are probably a little bit more blurred than they would be in real life. Some of the sets really look like sets, and it's just, I guess it's a disappointment when you read about or heard about this thing having a massive budget and these massive reshoots, and looks like it, it's hard to say, but did it all go to Ben Affleck and Gal Gadot's salary and Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, you know, to pick things up and put it back together? Because a lot of times this movie does look very cheap. Not just with sets, but with CG too. There's times where the group is standing around in whatever cave they're in, whether it's the Batcave or this other area or a hangar or something, and there was like a CG Wonder Woman in a wide shot where Bruce Wayne is standing around. I don't know if that was a reshoot thing or whatever. There's a moment where the troop transport comes, you know, that Justice League comes up out of the lake by Wayne Manor and get on the troop transport. What's his name? Alfred is with them. CG Alfred. Like, you can't get Jeremy Irons on reshoots to stand around and go like this, get wind blown on him. Would have looked so much better than what they had, because you could definitely tell. It's like, you really needed a digital double for that. Don't even bother putting him on the damn elevator. Like I said, you can nitpick the hell out of this movie, and you can nitpick the hell out of any movie, I think. Just wait till I do the Comic Timing podcast with Thor Ragnarok. I'm going to nitpick that one, because I'm thinking about it more and more as I get further away from it. But, you know, it's a mix. This movie really is a mixed bag. The performances are good. I feel like the story is bad, the CG is a mixed bag, the sets are a mixed bag, and the villain is a throwaway. So when you take all those things and put it together, you do not get the great movie that you wanted, you get a mixed bag. So as such, I'm going to rate this movie as a mixed bag, but I'm going to lean on the side of enjoyability, because you know what? When Superman enters the picture, this movie takes off. at least in my opinion. Anytime Superman was on screen, even though I was looking for that stiff upper lip because they had to CG out his mustache in some shots, but I don't think it was quite as many as there were, or people think that they are. He still elevated the movie. I hope and I feel like this version of Superman, and whatever Superman we get going forward, is going to be the classic Superman that all the Man of Steel and Batman v Superman haters will want, right? I think this completely turns Superman over on a new leaf. He's smiling, he's having fun, you know, he wants to do more, things like that. He's no longer the dour Superman we got in Man of Steel. So, with that said, I'm going to rate Justice League with 3.5 out of 5 stars, just slightly above average. It's okay, it's not terrible. You can go see it and have a good time. Just go in with some lowered expectations, but it's not as bad as other people are saying, and I think if they are saying it's really, really bad, that they might be more of a Marvel movie fan and they want to let on. Because frankly, these Marvel movies are not that experimental anymore. So we got to start judging the Marvel movies a little more evenly, just like we're applying the DC, we're judging the DC movies a little more harshly than we probably should. So with that, I am done. Thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys in the funny pages.